Welcome to Podcast for Fun. This is the show where we dive into the passion, the process, and the journeys of creative storytellers as they bring their stories to life. I'm your host, Sophia, and today we are joined by a talented writer, Marisa Wolf. Thank you so much for being here, Marisa.
Thank you so much for having me, Sophia.
So, let's start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and your work.
Yeah, I am a nerd. I was raised a nerd by my father, who is a nerd. And I have been writing science fiction and fantasy type stories since I was six. I joke that one of them when I was six got laminated, and I've been chasing that high ever since. So I prefer to write what if kind of stories that end in hope. So the circumstances along the way aren't always very hopeful, but the book
Yeah,
has to end in hope because I feel like we need more of that in our times.
I
So,
agree with you. What do you
thanks.
mean by what ifs?
Oh, yes. So, science fiction and fantasy, I think, are such interesting genres to tell stories in because it's very much, you're still telling stories about people, but what if, right? So, people, but we have met aliens, or people, but there's magic, or people, but it's a different world and their history is different, but they're still human at heart. And I feel like you can tell really thoughtful and fun stories about humans and humanity without it being our world, and that just makes it more fun. So it's like there's always a what if at the center of a sci-fi or fantasy story, and that makes it so much more interesting for me to sort of play with.
I love science fiction too, but
Yeah.
I'm a extra nerd. Maybe it's because of my dad as well,
Uh-huh.
but mine is always like science fiction and history for some reason.
Mm.
I don't know why. There's always combined together, and I'm just doing research, and I'm like, oh, I'm having so much fun right now, you
I
know.
love that. I love that. Yeah, it is. There are a lot of science fiction authors who are also historians,
Mhm.
because it is that thing of, right, like history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. So you're going to see patterns over and over again. And so you can tell a really good future story if you understand our past. So that's super
And
cool.
also, I find like realistic story to me is like really important. Like if I can't
Yeah.
believe someone will do that, I don't want to
Right.
write it. For me at least.
Yes.
Some
Yeah,
people
no,
write
that makes total
insanely
sense.
and I enjoy it. But for me, I like to write realistically. So I think
I
that
understand.
also accumulates with the historic part of me because then
Hmm.
history is things people actually did,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So if I incorporate that, it feels more realistic to me.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Because you're like, this is a real thing that happened. It's just now in this environment instead or something. Yeah.
Exactly. So, do you have any examples of your like what if scenarios that you wrote about? I mean, of course you do, but
Yes. Yes, I do. So my very first solo science fiction novel, I've written a lot of books with a lot of people, which is super fun. But the first one I did all by myself, um, was a couple of things that kind of came together, and some I didn't even realize I was doing at the time. But it was sort of this, what are we really going to try to use AI for? And given historical precedent, uh,
Mm-hmm.
the answer I came up with was war. We're going to use it to fight, because of how humans have historically used technological advances. And then I was thinking, how can we get it to actually do what we want it to do? Because it's going to be really hard to explain to a learning program, you can kill these people, that's fine, but not these people.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of stories where the AI is like, well, the best thing I can do to protect everybody is to kill everybody or is to like enslave or whatever. But in this book, I decided the what if was, what if we programmed the AIs along with genetically engineered humans? And so they are trained together from before birth, basically. So the AI is inextricably linked with the human, and those are your soldiers. But because humans are humans, how will they be treated? How will they be used? What will that be? And so Beyond Enemies starts with one of those pairs, who had done everything they were supposed to do. They were excellent, had great reviews, were doing all their work, were great, but they were banished to kind of the far end of the war,
Mhm.
and they couldn't really figure out why. And then
Mhm.
they find out it's because the war they thought they were fighting isn't the war they're actually in. And then like there are more conspiracies all the way down. So it was super fun. But it started with
Mhm.
what are we going to do with this? Like, what if we do use AI for war, which seems likely? Um, how could humans make that work, I guess?
Did you write this because of
No,
ChatGPT?
no, I mean, so I wrote it we're probably 3 or 4 years ago now. And I mean, yeah, there was a lot of conversation about AI.
Yeah.
Um, I definitely didn't think we were going to use AI to do like art for us. I did not see that coming. Like, so surprise. But no, it was because there's so much conversation about learning algorithms and artificial intelligence and what are our responsibilities if we actually create something that can think for itself, which we have not
Yeah.
done. But what does that mean if we've created a living thing? And given how we treat living things sometimes now, not promising, I would not say. So
So how did you come up with this idea then?
that is a great question. I don't know. I think basically what happens
Mhm.
is a mishmash of things come together in my ADHD brain. And I suddenly usually it's a character. So first I have a character's
Wait, sorry.
voice. Yeah,
Me
you what?
too.
Yes, yes, that's how, yes. And I know there are other people who start different ways, but like this is the way that makes the most sense to me. There is a character who is very clear in my head, and
Mhm.
then little by little I figure out where are they and what are they doing and what's going on? And
Mhm.
it's usually, like I said, like 95 different things that have happened that have all just
Oh
kind
my
of
God.
jammed together. So,
I think of like a character, but the clearest part for me is like a specific scene. And then I would
oh
write
yeah,
down the scene and I would make a story around that scene, you know?
of that. Yes. No, that's so fun.
Mhm.
Have you seen like there's like it's not a comic strip, but it's like a internet meme thing where it's like the story that I want to base my whole novel around. And it's like this beautiful portrait. And then it's like the rest
Yes,
of the
yes,
story.
yes.
And it's like scribbles. It's just like, I don't know, vibes. I get vibes. We'll get there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love like I feel like movies are my
Mhm.
favorite. I like building up and then you know have this all this information and the reason you think this scene is like really cool is because you know everything about it, you know? That's like my
Yes.
favorite.
Yeah, that momentum is so cool. Yeah.
So I'm curious, how do you manage to finish a whole novel and keep yourself like productive when you see, you know, because you said you have ADHD. So I mean, I kind of do too. So I
Yeah.
want to know, you
Yeah.
know, help me out here. Okay.
Shoot, I don't know that I have any helpful advice. I usually it's a deadline.
Hmm.
I am that person who's like, I have so much time. I'll get it done. And then I'm at the deadline. Yeah, I'm at the deadline. I'm like, and then I get it done. Um, Novels are really hard to do at the last minute though. And I have convinced my brain that's true because I can write a short story the day it's due.
Yeah.
And so my brain's like, yeah, we have so much time. Don't work on it. Everything's fine. You, you can't do that with a novel. Like you physically
Mm-mm.
can't. Right. So no. So I've convinced my brain that that's true. And it has been different for every single project. The way I basically have to trick myself into doing it. So for Beyond Enemies, I set a goal for a certain number of days that I was going to write a certain number of words. Um, and then I would try to write 500 words before I was allowed to have caffeine. So I was very motivated to write those 500 words.
I drink
And
coffee.
oh my God, yes. And then I would drink my coffee and I'd be like, okay, I already have 500 words. I can totally write the rest now. And like, I just feel really good because I was already productive. It's like the idea of working out first thing in the morning. Like you've already done the cool thing. Like you can
Mm-mm.
keep going. I tried to do that with the next book I wrote. My brain was like, absolutely not. I don't, I don't know words. I don't know how to use the fingers on the keyboard. Nope. Nope. It was just like white noise. There were just like bees in my brain. It was nothing helpful. And so I know it was ridiculous. And so for that one, it was okay, well, I'll go for a walk in the morning. And
Mhm.
then my reward when I get home is I'll write because now I've gone for a walk and I've been outside in nature. And I tried to flip it in my brain so that it wasn't writing was the task I had to do. It was writing was the reward that I got. Um, and that helped sometimes. So mostly mostly I just have to remind myself, you're really excited about this and you want to know what happens, you have to write it. So the way I do that is different, like I said, for every project, but it is just remembering that I'm excited to do this and I really love it. Um, and it's not a chore brain, so we can do this, you and I, and and then the
Mm-hmm.
deadline. So keep it going.
I have the same problem. I always think whenever I do something and I'm like, okay, I have to finish it. Now my brain's like, suddenly, this is a chore, even though it was 100% your decision.
Yes, you wanted to do this. This is fun. I know. But it's like, but it's a
Like,
task.
like at one point, see, I love makeup. Okay, I love
Hmm.
doing my
Hmm.
makeup. I don't know if you can
Yes.
tell.
You
So,
look beautiful.
uh,
Yes.
but thank you. One time I had to do it for 5 days in a row, and
Mm.
then the fourth time, that was the first time I felt like it was a chore because I felt
Oh
like
gosh.
I was like,
Yeah.
no, this used to be my therapy. What happened?
This used to be really calming, and now I have to do it.
I know.
Yes.
So like I'm like, okay, this is too many business meetings in 1 week. I need to like spice it
Hmm.
up, change it up. So my excuse is doing something harder before what
Oh
my actual
yeah.
thingy, so it feels easier, you know?
That's so smart. Yes. Yes. Because then you're telling your brain, like, even if it is a chore, it's an easy one. And it'll feel so good when
Exactly.
we're done. Yes, I
Mhm.
love that. Yeah.
Like I would do dishes right before doing my makeup. So I'm like, okay, when
Hmm.
I'm done my dishes, I can like draw my face. That would be
Yes.
so great, you
It'd be
know?
so great. Yes. There was an author at a writing conference that I went to. The writing conference is Superstars, and the author is James Artemis Owen.
Mhm.
And we did he does like career counseling sessions with people at the seminar, which is really cool. And I was telling him that like I was forever trying to find new ways to trick my brain. And that like, once I finish doing my word count for the day, then I'll reward myself by reading something fun or whatever. And he was like, nope, nope, here's my recommendation: do the thing that gets you excited first, because then you're going to have so much energy, your brain is going to be all charged up. Like, so if you read something you love that's really fun, when
Mhm.
you're done, your brain's like, oh my gosh, that was so cool, and did you think about this, and did you think about this, and then you just go and you work on your stuff. So either something like, I got this task done, I did my dishes, so now I can go do this other thing that's no longer a task, now it's fun. Or I did this fun thing like the walk, or I read or whatever, and take that energy and put it into your work, because the writing is the reward, not the obstacle. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's really smart. Didn't think of that before.
That's so smart. That's why I go to, well, I used to. I can't
Yeah.
lie. I'm not as, determined as I used to, but I used to go to the gym every morning.
Hmm.
Now I just eat every morning. So
Girl. I know, I worked out this morning and then I was like, oh God, now I have to shower. And then I have to put on makeup. And then I have to
I
look like, what have I
know.
done? Yeah.
I was like literally eating so fast 2 minutes before I got on this podcast. I was like,
I know, I'm so sorry.
like eating my toast. I'm like, ah, la, 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 la. Okay, I'm ready
Please
now.
fine. Chew, chug, chug, go, go. Yeah.
I like chug my
Understand.
coffee. I make my own coffee, so you know.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, I will have a second coffee after to reward myself. So yeah.
That's smart. That's smart. So
Yeah.
my next question. I don't have anything here. I don't know why I'm looking
I
here.
love
There's
it.
nothing.
It looks very official though. It's like you have a whole
Yeah.
list to the side. I love it.
I try sometimes I pretend like I do have a list of questions, but I actually
Good.
don't. It's more like a list in
Great.
my brain cell. I'm like, oh, I had these questions pop up before,
These
you
brain
know.
cells, man. Yeah, I agree. Hmm. Hmm.
So my question is,
Yes.
are you a full-time writer?
I am right now. Yeah.
Oh.
So I know. So during the pandemic times, my husband and I both got laid off,
Mhm.
and we had been talking about like, oh, when we get older and we retire, we'll go RV and travel the country. And then I,
That's-
I said, you know what? We're laid off. There's no remember, like in the 2020 years, it was very like, what is life even? Like, what is
Yeah.
anything gonna
Yeah.
look like? Like there were no guarantees, and it was a very clear thing. And so I said, you know what? The heck with it. We don't have kids. Like, let's sell our house
Mhm.
and let's buy an RV and let's do it now. We'll do like
Mhm.
middle-aged gap year. And we did that for 4 years. And so it was so fun. And our costs were so low that I was like, you know what? Between the contract work, like I was doing some consulting work and then my writing, it was paying our bills because our costs were so low. Um, and we were like staying 6 months in Charleston, South Carolina by the beach, and we were staying, for the summer in the mountains in North Carolina, and we were, like we were traveling and seeing family because we could drive there. And it was amazing. and my productivity shot up. I got so much done because I wasn't working, 60, 70 hours a week. Um, and so then we did it for 4 years instead of one. And then my husband was like, all right, we should probably be productive members of society again. So he got a job.
Mm.
So we had to settle somewhere and pay for a house and do all that. But he was like, you know what? You've really pushed your writing career. Like, let's take a couple of years. You write, and we'll see what happens.
Mm.
So I'm still doing my consulting work, and so I can bring in money. But he's got the healthcare, which is really helpful. And I get to just write full time. So I've got a couple of big contracts and I'm working on those, and yeah, it's super fun. But I know it's a very privileged way to be a full-time writer. So
But that's amazing. That's like my dream. I literally was like, oh, I want to travel the world and write.
mhm.
Like, I want to be able to write remotely and make stuff
Yes.
remotely,
Yeah.
taking advantage of modern technology.
Technology. Yes.
And like my dream is like being in like, okay, I'm half Japanese, so I try to go to Japan a lot. So I want to be able to go to Japan whenever I want to.
Yes.
With those like cheap tickets, there's really cheap tickets right now. And then I can be like in Tokyo and I'm writing, and then
Yes.
like
I
I'm
love
off
it.
to like get like authentic ramen. It's like my
Oh,
dream.
that is a dream. That is the dream. That's amazing. Yes. My
Thank you.
goodness.
So I'm sure everybody's wondering, um, how do you even like get those big contracts and be able to create profit from being a writer?
Ooh, shoot. Yes. Unfortunately, part of the answer is luck.
Yes.
Um, so right. So I think that is a hard thing to quantify, but an important thing to name. So for me, I've been writing, like I said, my whole life. I
Mhm.
did fan fiction for many, many years.
Me too.
Um, I love it so much. It will always have a very special place in my heart for fan fiction. And I did a lot of cooperative fan fiction, like role-playing games and writing stories and stuff.
Mhm.
And so one of the women I wrote with, Casey Azell, she was, I think it was around the time she was being deployed. She was in the Air Force and she's about to
Mhm.
get deployed. And she's like, you know what? I've been writing all this time in other people's worlds and it's so much fun. And I think it's time to do my own thing and get published. Um, and she's just a very like determined, dedicated, she's a helicopter pilot, right? Like she sets goals and hits them. She's very disciplined, is very different than how I approach life.
Yeah.
It's really good to have that in your best friend, let me say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so she did, and she worked her butt off and she got published, and then she made those into more opportunities. She was invited by this like up and coming indie publisher to do a short story for this new shared world that they were doing. And she did the short story, and they loved it because she's amazing. And they said, "Hey, do you want to write a novel based on this short story?" And she said, "Yes, but." So she was full time in the Air Force. She was a mom. She was working on other projects. So she was so busy. She's like, "What if my friend writes this with me?" And they were like, maybe let's see what this friend has to offer, right?
Mm.
And so she sent me her short story because we alpha read for each other, and she sent it to me and she's like, what do you think? And I was like, oh, I love it. I love this thing. I love this character. I love this thing that you did, this world. And she's like, cool, 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 cool. Do you want to write a novel with me? I was like, yes, because you say yes, right? When you get an
Yeah.
opportunity, you say yes. And then I panicked. But I said yes first and then panicked. And so I had to write a short story to kind of prove my chops.
Mhm.
Um, and anyway, that is the long way to say like that's how I got started. And then
Yeah.
every time I was offered a short story or an opportunity, I was like, yep, yes, yes, I'm gonna make this work. And so, like I said, I was working 16, 70-hour weeks sometimes. So it was like always having homework. So I did that, but I said yes to everything I knew that I could do well and get done in time. And when you establish a reputation amongst editors that you handle your stuff, like you turn in something good, you turn it in on time, and you
Mhm.
are consistent and reliable, you get more opportunities.
Mhm.
Um, so I just kind of flooded the world with my short stories for a little while and was just like very thoughtful about taking edits and very professional and not let's be clear, I was not professional in my own head, but I was
Mhm.
very professional in
Yeah.
interacting with people. um And then eventually, a couple of my short stories caught the attention of the editor-in-chief for Bain Books Publishing. And we had a conversation at a convention, and she was like, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I told her, and that became Beyond Enemies, which was pretty cool. So that's totally
I'm
cool.
so jealous. I want to do that too.
Man, I strongly recommend if short stories appeal to you,
Hmm.
working on short stories because it gets you noticed and gets you in front of a lot of different editors. Um, if you don't like short stories, that's not the way to go. Don't do that. But it is a solid thing. And then also conventions. So because I was visibly nerdy and enthusiastic at conventions, um, that combined with I turn in my work, I do what I'm supposed to do. People were like, let's take a chance. We'll take a chance on her. Let's go. So
So people approached you more than you like asking people to read your stuff.
hmm
That's a dream. You're like you're not chasing, you're attracting, you know what I mean?
I'm manifesting. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Because I'm more of a go-getter. Like most of the people on my podcast, I came up to them at the convention like, do you want to be on my podcast? You know?
Yes, yes. I love
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And
It's
it works.
both. Yes, it works, especially because like you are genuine, right? Like
Mm.
some people do it and it's off-putting because it feels like this is what I'm supposed to do and I'm supposed to ask you for this and I am networking to get a thing as
Yeah.
opposed to I'm enjoying talking to you. Do you want to come on my podcast and talk more? Or
Mm.
this was so fun and you were so cool and I would love to do like whatever. Um, because yes, it was a lot of opportunities that I was offered, but it was also every time I heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm thinking about doing this anthology," I was like, "Oh yes, I love anthologies. You
Yeah.
just let me know." Like
Tell me more about
so
it, you know?
yeah, tell me more. And then, and it was almost always because it was such a good idea, whatever their idea was, we would just like enthusiastically get into the conversation about, oh my gosh, and what if people did things like this? And oh, what about this? And oh my gosh, a story like this would be so much fun. And I'd be like, well, send me what you got. Let me see. I'll see if it works for the anthology. And that's
Mhm.
pretty cool.
Yes, it is. I'm jealous.
Don't be
Did you,
jealous. That is fully possible for people to do. So
did you always knew that you wanted to be a full-time writer?
yes, but I didn't believe it was possible. So I was the first person in my family to go to college. And I wasn't sure what to major in, and I just chose English because I like reading and I like writing. And of course I got all the time the like, "Well, what are you gonna do? What's gonna be your job? What's gonna make you money while you write and read and do things?" And everyone was like, "Oh, you'll be a teacher." And I was like, "I will not be a teacher. I will never be a teacher. That's not what I want to do." And then I was a teacher. And it was amazing and so much fun. Um, but yeah, I always wanted to be a writer. I didn't actually believe it was possible.
Mm.
But I did a lot of practice with fan fiction from like 12 on. So that helped.
Why didn't you think it was possible?
I just I kept getting the like, you have to be practical, you have to have a job that pays money. And it's like, yep, practical, live in a capitalist society, got to make money. And I knew I loved my stories, but I didn't know if anybody else would like my stories. Like it took me a long time to believe, and I still have that imposter syndrome that's like, they're gonna figure out that you're just making it up. You don't know what you're doing. Literally, that's what authors do. We make stuff up. But it didn't feel practical.
Mm.
Um, and I think at heart, I am not a practical person, but I grew up in a world where
Yeah.
everyone's telling me to be practical all the time. So
If I was practical, I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be talking to you.
right? Right,
Exactly.
Sophia? That part. Like, yes, there has to be some measure of practicality, sure. But like, if we're not also dreaming and imagining, what are we even here for? Like,
Hmm.
yeah,
I mean, I literally only have one life. Like, what am I gonna do? Be bored? I
agreed.
don't want to do that. If I was practical, I would have been a piano teacher right now because I was
Oh,
really good.
nice. Yeah.
And I have
Yeah.
like the certifications to be a piano teacher, but like
Excellent. Yep.
I was like, I think I want to draw and make comics, guys, you know? And
Yes.
why
Yes.
would you do that? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't like the idea of teaching people for the rest of my life. I'd rather
Fair.
try to, and I love talking to people. Like, I wanted to do something that was like talking to people, but
Hmm.
also like comics. I don't know how to
Yeah.
explain it.
Yeah.
So that my solution was this podcast for some reason.
I love it. I love it because you are talking to people, and I bet it also gives you material for your comics sometimes too.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Because
like
like
in the
I'm also talking
situation.
to a lot of comic creators, and sometimes they tell me something, I'm like, oh, you just like set a light bulb in my head. I'm
Mm,
gonna use that,
yes, I
right?
love that. Yes, yes. Because like you said, it's one life. We get one. Like if you're bored and miserable the whole time, that's not going to feel great at the end. Like you're
Mhm.
not going to look back and be like, "Oh man, I wish I had been more bored." Like
I
let's
know.
let's do that. Yeah. No, I agree.
How does your family feel about your writing?
They are officially now so proud and so enthusiastic. Like once my book started showing up in bookstores and it was real, um, people got really excited. So like I would get like pictures from my cousin, like, oh my God, is this you? This is your book in this bookstore? And I was like, it is. So like I'm still like a very little fish in a very big ocean. But yeah, they're very supportive and very excited. So it's cool.
What would you say is like your dream with your writing? Like, what would you want it to happen? How big would you want it to be?
I want people. So when I was growing up, I felt madly, deeply, obsessively in love with Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern. And that was the vast majority of the fan fiction I wrote was me as a dragon rider or various characters as dragon riders. I would love if someday I have a series that a bunch of young people just like
Mm,
fall crazy in love with and it just inspires them. Like if there are a ton of people out there writing fan fiction about my books one day, I've totally made it, right? Like that's because that's love. That's love and that's like even if it's like I love this book but you did it wrong and here's how you should do it right. That's fine because it's still love. Like it's still hit that part of your brain um that that gave you joy and made you want to engage. That is what I want for my books. I
yes.
want people to like just yes.
I mean, like, I'm not sure if you've heard this phrase before, but I think someone told me the opposite of love isn't hate, it's like ignorance. So
Yeah,
it's
or
better to,
indifference. Yeah.
yeah, it's indifference. So
Yeah.
it's better to be hated or loved, guys.
Yeah.
Because I've hated love is closer than you think. How do you think enemies to lovers happen, you know?
You are so right. You are so right. It's a circle. It's not a spectrum this way. It's a circle. And like love and hate are right here at the top of the circle.
Exactly, exactly. So do you have kids right now, out of curiosity?
I don't. I am the oldest of six kids.
Mhm.
And my youngest brother is 18 years younger than I am.
Oh my
So
God.
I know. So I didn't ever think I wanted kids, but then my freshman year of college, I came home and I watched him over winter break and he had colic. Um, and if folks on this podcast don't know what colic is, it's basically I think it's like they get like heartburn. I don't know the actual science, but they cry all the time. Just cry. So I would be waitressing at night to make money for college. And then I would watch him during the day while my stepmother went to work. And I was like, this is what moms do? Absolutely not. This is not.
Cannot
I
do
will be a cool aunt. I am an
it.
awesome, cool aunt. I love my friends' kids. I love my nieces, my nephews. Like, heck yes, let me be the cool aunt. That is where I belong. That is my role in society.
Mhm.
So I have a dog. It's not the same.
I was asking because I know that Becca has kids, so I was like,
She
ooh, I
does.
wonder.
She is a badass. Like she is so great. She gets so much done. I am in awe of parents who also work and get writing done and do all the things. Like that is amazing.
So, what was your job before being a writer?
My last one, I was the chief program officer for an education nonprofit that did principal training. So I worked in
That
education
sounds
for it's fun.
so crazy.
It was fun. It was fun, but yes, it was insane. The hours were crazy. Like that's the thing when you work in a nonprofit, or at least when I did, I was really, really passionate about the work. And so I had no boundaries. It was just work all the time, work. Like I would just like, oh, we have to go do something on Saturday. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I have to stay up until like 11 p.m. to work on this. I got you. I'll get you this presentation. Like, I know, I don't recommend it. Um, or I don't recommend doing that because then you get burnt out and then you don't want to do it, even though you're super passionate about it, right? So
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved teaching. Um, I wish our education systems worked better. And that's why I worked in the education nonprofits for a long time. But yeah, I'm just gonna stay on this side for a little while, I think.
So what would you say your like target audience is for your stories?
I would say anybody who enjoys snark, because my books are never fully serious. They are very snarky.
Hmm.
So if you enjoy snarky dialogue, um, an occasional thought-provoking situation, but mostly like fully formed characters going through it, but ending in a good place, I think you will like my books. Um, yes, that is kind of how I mean, I don't think it's a, people between this age and that age. There's a lot of cursing usually, so probably not middle school.
Yeah.
I'd say high school and up. Um, but I don't think it's a like, oh, only teenagers would like this, or only young adults, or only people in their 50s. Like I don't think it's the age thing. I think it's, are you ready for some snark? Are you ready for some real characters who are
Yeah.
going through it? And do you want something that will end with hope? Here we are.
What do you mean by snarky? What do you mean by
So
snarky?
so in the same way we were talking about you have one life, like do the things that bring you joy. Um, I cannot take a serious situation too seriously, I guess. Like I always have to make a joke or make a comment or be a little sarcastic. Like
Yeah,
that's
me
how I
too.
get through. Yeah, right? Like that's
Yeah.
that's how that's how I manage. When things are hard, like there has never been a single funeral my family has gone to that we haven't like cracked up in laughter in a way that the person we're celebrating and missing would have enjoyed. Like that's what we do. Like you have to find the darker the times, the more you have to be able to find joy. And
Yeah.
so for Snarky, it's like my characters also don't always take things entirely seriously. So we'll have a very sarcastic character, or we'll have a lot of like snappy dialogue.
Mhm.
Um, it won't be like, we are very serious people doing very serious things. There is a war and we have to be serious about it at all times. Those aren't my books. It's more like, oh, it's gross out there, huh? Like, let's let's figure it out. So yeah,
Oh my
that's
God. That's so funny because I'm actually like kind of the opposite. I'm like severely snarky in real life, but like
mhm,
all my stories are like,
very
ah,
serious.
everything's serious. Like I have this little poster of my story right here.
Hmm.
There's no jokes in this story.
No jokes.
There's no jokes. It's all
That's
like emo, punch emotional
it's
core.
yeah.
I'm not like that in real life, as you can
Yeah.
tell.
Yes, right. You're fun and joyous. Yeah. Yeah. That's fun though. I love those books too. It's just I can't do it. I can't write like that. I can read them and enjoy the heck out of them, but I there have to, and it's not like joke, 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 joke. You're not
Yeah.
laughing the whole time. But like there is definitely there is definitely more make light of a situation than no, my feelings. So
What would you say was like your biggest struggle writing stories?
I mean, tricking my brain to getting them done is one.
Yeah,
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 that's a big
sure.
one. Um, I mean, otherwise, I'd say the middle, the middle of a story. So the beginning of a story is usually pretty clear in my head. I might have to change it after I finish the book because it's not quite right anymore. And I almost always know exactly how something's going to end. But then we get in the middle of the book, and even if I have an outline, my characters, because they are so real in my head, they're like, we should go over there. We should go do this thing. What if we did that instead? Oh, we're gonna go
Guys,
here and do
calm
that.
down.
I know,
Get
like, no,
off,
no, no. This can't
get
be a
off my
900
head.
page book. I know, like we have a plan. We got to hit the plan. And they're like, do we though? I don't think we do. And so for me, it's really hard to keep the middle tight, basically, like keep that pacing going so people like, because I love these characters. I want to go on adventures with them, but people want a story. They're going to tell
Yeah.
you a story. We can't just go on endless adventures. So
I think you should write a story like that though, where they just go on endless
it's
adventures.
just side quests. Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
think
whole
like
story is side
life
quests.
is just full of side quests, guys. Come on.
True. You are not wrong. But maybe I'll do that. Like a bunch of short stories where it's just like side quest after side quest and they
Yeah,
never
like haven't you
get to a
watched like
point.
I don't know Teen Titans? That's just them
Mhm.
going on 5 billion side quests, and
And
everyone
it's
loves
so fun.
exactly. I would read that 100%. Perfect.
But I will let you know if I do it. That sounds really fun.
Yes, please do, because that sounds like such a fun story. And then you can't expect anything because
Yeah.
your
Who
characters are just
knows?
moving on its own, on
Yeah.
their own, in your
Just
little
going
brain.
wherever. Yes.
So
They
do
are
you feel like
wild.
you come up with the characters, or like the characters come to you, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think it's more the second one. So the folks in Beyond Enemies, it's Talon and B, and I wrote a short story, and as soon as I started writing the short story, I knew exactly who they were. Their voices were so, so, so clear. I wrote that short story so quickly, and like I went back and revised it and stuff, but I wrote it so fast because they were so clear in my head. And then they did not shut up. Like it didn't feel like I created them. It felt like they existed and they showed up in my brain and were like, tell the story.
That's
And
such a
so
I
I
love
know it
that.
was, oh my God, it was amazing. And that's why they have a whole novel. It's somewhere behind me. I won't get
Mm.
it, but that's why I have the novel because once I wrote that story, they were like, okay, yeah, but other things have to happen. Like we're not done. And I was like, ooh, you are not done. And that is almost always what happens. Like I cannot write a story until the character shows up in my head. And like sometimes I'll have to think about them a little bit more, like maybe they're shy, or they're not like all the way there. And so then I sort of develop them, but it's more like, all right, well, what would you do in this kind of situation? Okay, well, who's your best friend? Okay, who do you hate the most? Who would you maybe fall in love with? Are they the same person? Like, so it's like kind of interviewing them in my head and trying to figure out who they are. And then I figure out their story. So yeah, it feels like they already exist sometimes.
That's so cool.
Crazy.
I
It
need to
partly means I'm insane, but
I like draw I'm like an artist, right? Like I draw my comics too. So when I draw
so
the
cool.
characters, sometimes I draw them out, I'm like, this is not what I had in mind. Doesn't look as good as it did in my brain.
I understand. Yes.
Or like I write a line, I'm like, that does not sound as cool as I thought it would in my brain.
Well, it's just not right yet. That's all. It's still very cool, but it's not exactly the thing. Gotta
Exactly.
focus. Yeah.
So you sound like you're more like there's like two types of writers that someone told me
Yeah.
once.
Yeah.
A gardener and an architect. So an architect would
Oh,
plan everything out, right? Like
yeah.
step by step, and then
Hmm.
they'd start writing. And the gardener is
Hmm.
like, oh, I'm just gonna write as I go. Story
Hmm.
comes out as I write it. So which one would you say you're more?
I usually have a plan, but it exists for me to deviate from. So I'm probably more of a gardener.
Mm.
Um, but because I've done a lot of co-authoring, when you work with somebody else, you can't just willy-nilly it, right?
Yeah.
You have to both know what you're doing. Um, and usually when I get stuck, it's because I don't have a plan and I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And so my character's like, let's just go over here. Let's just go blow something up. It'll be fine. I'm like, I don't think that's the thing. So I usually have a plan. It's bullet points. It is not architectural blueprints at all. And then I will build on that, but then also go usually willy-nilly to the side. Because the plan itself exists to change, I think.
I'm the opposite. I'm like a
Are you very
architect.
planned?
I'm like, okay, this has to happen, this has to happen.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
write it, I'm
mhm.
like, no, I can't deviate.
No, it must be this way. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, because I want like consistency, Like, I don't
Hmm.
want in one scene for them to have like, I don't know, they're carrying around an axe and then it just disappears out of nowhere because I forgot that they had an axe. Like, I don't want that to happen. So
That's
I try to
that's
like
real. Yeah.
be like architectural and everything and make sure everything's right.
Yeah.
I have a fun question for you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
If you were to describe like, oh, this is a story I would want to write, like this is the kind of story I want to write, and it's like
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be a super famous story or anything, but
Hmm.
something created by someone else, what would it be?
Hmm. Ooh. I would love to tell, well, I've already mentioned it. I would love to tell a story like Dragon Riders of Pern. Um, it's a series. Everything she added and McCaffrey added along the way just like built the world out until it just felt realer and realer and realer, which considering it was full of giant flying dragons who soul bonded with people, like impressive. Impressive that it felt so real. Like, I mean, like I said, I wrote 20 years of fan fiction with it and
So
never got bored, you know? So, um, that like a kind of like You tell very targeted stories, but in a very sprawling world that feels real, so that your readers are always imagining like, but what's happening over there? Ooh, what could be happening, 100 years ago? What's going to happen 200 years? Like it feels so real. They wonder, but they're
Mhm.
also satisfied with the stories that I'm telling. That's the kind of story I would like.
It's real when people add like OCs based off of your world.
Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's the thing, right? When they're like, I can picture this fully formed human that does not exist in the story in this world and make it
Yeah.
work. That's awesome.
Like sometimes I see like, oh, My Hero Academia OCs. I'm like, oh my God, guy, that's so crazy because that My Hero Academia came from someone's brain cells,
I know,
and you
right? Right? They made it up. I love it. Yes. Yes. That's very
so
cool. Yes.
Marisa, what's
Yes.
one advice you give to the aspiring writers watching this right now?
The best piece of advice that I have ever stolen from the internet is is to let the first draft be the first draft. So to the point you just made a minute ago about I don't want my character to suddenly have an axe and it didn't exist before. I 100% did that with a crossbow. And my second point of view character in the book that comes out this September, A Plague of Magic, and my editor was like, "Where did this come from?" And I was like,
Yeah.
we had it all the time. What do you mean? What do you mean? Where did it come from? It happened the whole time. So your first draft just has to exist. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be perfect. All your plot holes can just be pockets. Like it's fine. If it exists, you can fix it. If you freak out about it the whole time and it never gets done, it's never going to be good. So your first draft, if it sucks, awesome. Does it exist? It did everything it needs to do. That is the best advice I can give. Like, get to the end of your story because then you can figure out, oh, I don't actually need these parts, or I need a lot more of this, or I need to make sure everybody knows he has a crossbow before he needs to use it later. Like, whatever it is, it's okay to be messy. It's okay that it's not exactly right. Finish it and then go fix it the second time.
I think a lot of people forget that we're humans and we're not perfect, guys.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Please don't. Because then you're going to be working on your manuscript for 15 years and it's not going to be done and you're not going to be satisfied. Write a
Mm.
first draft, let it exist, then go fix it and pretend like you knew what you were doing the whole time.
Oh my God, I know so many people who are like, I've been writing this for 4 years. I'm like,
Yeah.
4 years? Like,
Yeah.
what?
I start
What do you,
to hate my book if it's too long. Like if I've been looking at it too long, I'm like, this is all trash. I hate everything. It's not. It's not trash. I've just looked at it for too long.
if I cross like the 6 months mark, I'm like, I'm doing something wrong. Like, I can't be
Yeah.
taking 6 months to write something.
I can't be here. I have to go on somewhere else. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And Marisa, where can my viewers or our viewers find your work?
Uh, Great question. So you can go to my website. It is marisawolf.net or marisawolf.com. I go both ways. And you can see everything there. Um, my books with Bain Publishing are available anywhere books are sold. So go to your favorite independent local bookstore, go to a Barnes and Noble. You could order it from Target. They're probably not in the store, but you can order it there. Wherever it might be. And then all of my indie published books are available on either the publisher's website, which again, you can get the link on my website, or on that giant river of commerce that sells all the things. So you can go there too.
And you can probably, click the link in the description. Pretty
Yeah,
sure I put it in there. Clickety, clickety,
that's it.
guy.
Just go click, click.
Well, that's our for today's episode of Podcast for Fun. Thank you so much, Marisa, for joining us and sharing your incredible insights.
Thanks, Sophia.
And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with fellow storytelling enthusiasts. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to explore, you can drop them in the comments or connect with me on any of my social medias at Podcast for Fun. Until next time, keep creating, keep dreaming, and we'll see you on the next episode of Podcast for Fun.